Let me see. I lost my remote to one of my TVs, so I can't turn my music on because the window keeps going over to that screen. And I gotta figure out where the fuck it is, because I know it's in this room. I had it like 2 days ago. I know it's somewhere. I just don't know where exactly it is. But if I can get one of these universal remote apps or something to work with it. I just need literally just to put it on a different input, and it's being annoying. Nancy and Quan did great streams this week. Glad you're back too. I wanted to do a stream earlier, but I had a bunch of work shit I had to do. But now I'm here hanging out, doing shit, actually talking about things. We're gonna have the chapter out in a little bit. I'm hoping for more of a event chapter. The last one was really just 3 segments of foreshadowing and events, which I'm fine with. I mean, that's always obviously gonna happen. But I was like, we left the previous chapter off like, okay, setting up Athena's match with Natsu and then their group, and then Gray and crew against Duke and crew. And the whole stuff with the Signario sisters, obviously Jalal, Urza, Minerva, very interesting. Obviously, I want to see. What's up, Yami? Well, what's Nur? I always forget, because for some reason you don't go by Nur. What's up, though, Jeff? Oh, I was saying, though, is, like, those fights are obviously very interesting. I think more so, I wouldn't be surprised if people were generally more interested in the Scenario Sisters or Athena, but I'm out of the 3 parties more interested in Duke and Gray's fight, because Gray being Duke's opponent is something I didn't expect for the arc. Like Athena and Natsu, okay, I can see it just because like she's been constantly connected with the dragon gods, especially after seeing like she has like this whole, doll's sense of emotion. She doesn't actually like feel what she wants to. She's gone to try and figure out how to be human. Like, it can contrast Natsu pretty well with like his whole view on what makes people themselves, and different ways he views like emotions and how it impacts people's life. And here he's fighting this pretty much emotionless doll, but it's got a lot of very intriguing aspects to it. And then the Signario sisters are really cool. Their designs, people really like them. I mean, I'm still very curious if they're dragons. I think that possibility is still on there. Why didn't I do a 131 stream? I meant to, and then by the time I got around to it, I had more shit pop up, and I was just too busy. But luckily for me, like I said, the last chapter was very uneventful outside of the Signario sisters using their abilities, because the Duke stuff was just a little bit of information. The Athena fight was really nothing more than we've, like, in terms of display that was unexpected. Like, she did some laser beams at her eyes, and then Sting ate it. She seems to have some upset, new directed attention towards Sting, which could be pretty intriguing to see exactly how that's going to go. But the stuff at the end, obviously, with the Signario sisters transmuting the world around them, holds a lot of potential. But I mean, like I said, I'm most interested in Genai, or not, sorry, not Genai, in Duke. I'm interested in Genai and Kotetsu, but I'm primarily Duke. I want to see exactly how his abilities work, because he either has other forms of alchemy, or is it literally like you throw an attack at him, Gray does ice make something, and then the dude turns it into an Iceman. And then once he turns something into a person, are they all different? Or is it like if every smoke attack turns into Genai kind of thing? Or it's like another smoke person, it's completely different, they have different abilities. Something like that, where it's like, is there a pattern? Or is it just like absurdly free-formed? Because I could see it being either or pretty well. I could see this, probably if I had to guess, I would think that like any smoke one makes Genai. Or at least like he could fast make Genai. Like, he can instantly do it, but it's like if you threw an attack at him, he took like a minute and then prepped it and then made a new person kind of thing, where it's like he's already got the schematics essentially and the idea of how to make one person, so it's not a problem. 1 second, my dog really wants to get up. He's chilling. We'll go out soon, buddy. You just hang out. Luckily for me, today's my day off, and I have nothing planned. I got one school thing I got to do, but it's going to maybe take me like 45 minutes, no problem. And then I got to wash my dogs, and that's pretty much it. So luckily for me, I've got a pretty relaxed set day. I'm pretty hyped for it. We got a chapter in just a few minutes, and we'll see exactly what's going on. Right now, if I had to guess, just in general, contents of the chapter, we left off the Signario sisters, but I will be surprised if the Signario sisters are the focus of the chapter. I'd be willing to bet there may be going to be a third to half, and then we're going to get something like more lore heavy. Like, maybe not like direct lore heavy, but something like directly more like impacting the plot. Like Duke, like we get like the whole idea of like, okay, what if Duke takes an interest in Gray and wants to like bring Gray in his guild? He's like, oh, I could see you being a really skilled alchemist, because it's like, oh, well, the Signario sisters are the only, this is just assuming. Let's assume they're not dragons. Like, oh, well, they were talented alchemists, so he ended up bringing him in. Or he's like, I could see myself, a younger version of myself in you. Something that like makes it so like, okay, this is a weird plot twist. Where's it gonna go? Because though I see the potential in like him having interest in Gray, it's still such a weird out of left field direction to go with it, that I think Mishima could really juice up just like a weird extra plot line while we do stuff with with Athena, find out more about the Dragon Gods, because like we have stuff with Ignia and Viernes on the back burner, but the whole aspect with Duke is really like the surprise one, because like we knew about the Dragon Gods and stuff, but now we've got like the answers to the White Wizard, and the fact that Duke should be 100+ years old, which is a little concerning, because generally people in Fairy Tail don't naturally live that long. You either have to have, pretty much like some form of outside magic or not be human. That's pretty much like everything. There's some weird thing that keeps you alive, or you are human, or you're just not human. Because, you could be like Hades with the heart, or you could be like Zeref, who's cursed with immortality. But it's like they have variations, and then everybody else is just like, yeah, they're dragons or they're machines. Let me read some of these. Will Duke be able to turn Gray's magic into a dude like an Iceman? He should be. That's what we were talking about recently about it. Theoretically, yeah. Hope the filler Gold Owl arc. Wait, this isn't filler though. Why would you want it to end? This is so interesting. Like we're getting large-scale world expansion, where I would assume getting set up for the Dragon Gods. I think this is going to be similar to the last arc in terms of it being more of the steps to get them up to that level. Like I said, one of the reasons I think that Gray and Duke are pairs, I think that Gray is going to have some big role, and then just some new aspect of his abilities this arc. And that will put him closer up to like the further end portions, because Athena, it's like, oh, Athena has the potential to defeat the Dragon Gods, so it's like, yeah, but so does Natsu as E&D, so it's like he just has to, if he just kind of keeps scrapping with her and like pushing as the art goes, I can easily see him eventually getting into that territory where it's like, okay, he can actually fight these guys now, because we know Doggermag was the weakest Dragon God, and it's like Natsu and Suzaku combined, it was a unison raid, but Natsu wasn't base. It's kind of hard to say because unison raid versus base, but still, them combined were able to defeat the weakest Dragon God. So it's like they're not like absurdly out of range. If two of them together can combine just beat the bar, that means that just thinking about there, say if you have the bar as a 10 and in comparison to Natsu and Suzaku or something like a 5 to 6. It's like, but that's pretty close. So it's like if he ends this arc a 7 or an 8, and then that means that like, say Ignia is a 15, Natsu ends this arc a 9, and then it's like by the end of Viernes he's like an 11 or a 12, and now it's like, okay, by the time he gets to Ignia he's at a 13. So Ignia is stronger, but Natsu's within range. Just kind of one of those moves where it's where we had stuff set up, but one of the big features about it is obviously going to be like we're getting the characters pushed and experienced through more to get them up to the whatever Ignia's got planned. Let me read some of the comments. Chapter will be out in a few minutes, so I want to get to the comments before then. Oh, let me post up the stream too, just because I haven't done anything in a while. I'll probably count this as the first episode actually of the podcast. I need to get that set up because I actually really would like to do that, because it's something that I can do either live or casually on my own time, and it can connect together. And just by the way the podcasts are, I don't have to keep it to Fairy Tail, but that's the primary thing we talk about. I was so sad, just as a side note, I was so sad Ginkin Galuna got axed. I was going to start reviewing that if it survived, just because I like the art and the style of it a lot. I'm very curious as to like what the big beef that people had with this series were. I feel like it was just because it felt kind of direct, not like directionless, but like it didn't have like a hardened set of events. Like things kind of just happened and then moved on to the next one. 1 second. Let me just post this up. And then up Streamlabs. You guys hear me now? We good? Because it's showing on it's showing on my thing that on Streamlabs the sound is getting picked up. Hello, let me see. There we go. There we go. There we go. One thing I actually do need, I gotta be careful. My dog pulled on the cable that connects to my mic, and that little piece at the end got bent. Not like it didn't break, but you know how it's fitted in there, it got bent out. So it's just like it's really delicate, and I'm worried about it getting popped off because like I push it back into place, but if the wires break, then I'm fucked. So it's like I'm being careful about it, but I'm worried that I might have to order another one, and the thing I would have to do for sure is get a shorter cable. This cable's so fucking long. I'll give a quick piece of lore. I got a free dog like a couple weeks ago, and he's a big clown, and he just runs into shit. But yeah, let me get to the actual chapter. So that was my bad. I paused it for a second, and then it wasn't picking up for some reason. I think it was just the cable. I probably got to get a new one. Because it was registering on Streamlabs and the light was coming on to show that it was getting audio. I think I just need to mess with it a second. But anyway, the chapter, we got a Sting and Rogue cover. I'm hoping we don't see too much on the Rogue fight. Or the Sting fight. I'm hoping we just get a little bit, unless it's more to be for Rogue. Because like I said, I want to see the Duke. I want to see the Duke content before I really get to more of the Signario sisters or with Athena. I don't know enough about High School DxD, but let me get to the chapter. It pretty much read the first page is they're just reacting to the Signario sisters. Just the one, her ability to alter the area around them. I'm very curious as like the difference of their abilities, or if it's going to be the same type of alchemy, they just do it differently, or if it's going to be like this girl like does it in this style, this girl does it in the other. But because I'm hoping when she said, "Oh, it looks like what'd she say, like a fun and beautiful place." It's how she says it. Like if she said something was like a dark and scary place, it had like a horrific art style or something. Let's see. But she's just like summoned all of these like weird little minions. Nothing kind of crazy. Just seems like, unless they all have their own abilities. But so far it just seems like they just summoned a bunch of like monsters and minions for them to deal with. But I don't think that should be too much of a problem unless it's like they're just crazy powerful or something. Well, like it's just one of those things like, oh yeah, they scale really high. It's not like they're... Oh, what is my thing doing? What is going on here? It was like something that had to restart and it messed with like my whole setup. I think it was Windows. We'll see if it's still going through. Is it all good still? I think it is. Yeah. We haven't done the recent reviews from the request recent. I know. I had a lot of stuff going on this last week, but let me see about this. I wonder about this bear thing because it's like this big bear. It's just got a bunch of spikes pretty much on its fist, and I don't really see it as that much of a threat. It looks like they're fine. I think Minerva's moving them around because she like I said, she's a good support. I don't really see what she's going to do large scale combat wise against them. Just because I feel like they should be more powerful. Oh, it's the sunflower dude from freaking Rave. I forgot his name. Nakajima, I think. I haven't seen a good reference with him in a while. But Urza just goes in, slashes the dudes up, just completely bodies these sunflowers. I want to see what they can do, like ability-wise, in terms of effect, because there's no way it's just summon minions. Because there's nothing crazy with that. Because at this point it's like what, she's just a higher level version of Yoko. I don't think so. I think there's more to it, but it's just gonna depend. But she's like making like a carousel and just doing like these weird abilities that just seem to kind of just do like a continuous attack. Jalal using Meteor. Always a fan when Jalal uses other abilities, not just dropping Grand Chariot. I like Grand Chariot. I know that's always what people get mad about because it's like his go-to. But it's just like, for some reason Mishima doesn't want to ever show us like Sema. again. I want to see Senma drop to him. Do Senma. But he just swoops in, claps all these. The Signaria sisters don't look worried. This just looks like their fodder stuff. I assume they're going to have stuff with actual abilities and not just like these things come in and to jump on you. Just because they got to have things that are more devious and like things you have to deal with. Because like there's no way that they would be a threat if so. But it's like she makes a bunch of balloons come up. So far, still, it also looks like it's only the one sister. And I can't remember which one's which off the two of them because we just actually got to doing it. Probably after this chapter, I'll have it memorized because I'll know that this sister is the only one that really did anything this chapter. The other one just kind of watched. But she like made a bunch of balloons come up from the ground and then explode. I think that might just be the general thing, maybe the difference with hers. Obviously, the explosions is something extra because it doesn't just, oh yeah, we're going to hit you with these balloons. They just instantly explode. But it's just the style, I guess. It's completely freeformed. With Yoko, she's just summoning the minions. The minions have some abilities, but she's also messing with the terrain and messing with the environment. But still, I need more from them. I need them to have more up their sleeves and their capabilities. But the explosion didn't really do too much. Looks like they're fine. Urza and Jalal pretty much are good. Minerva is getting completely pushed back, but she seems like she's recovered because she looks like she's more worried than Urza and Jalal too, which obviously at a lower level makes sense. But she's doing a bunch of smart moves. Like she ends up switching with the other sister. And she's just like hanging out next to Jalal and Urza and just like, what's going on? And she gets a hit in and it looks like it does something, but after that point, she uses alchemy on herself. See, that's smart. Because that's one of those things, it's like with Wall, where Wall has the ability to scan people's weaknesses, and he ended up scanning his own so he could advance his own body and capabilities. I think that makes complete sense. So it's like with them getting into a spot, they can just use alchemy on themselves. The thing about that that's kind of scary though is like they essentially can turn into any element and any object or different material to get out of something. And it's not like like Kane Hikaru and his voodoo. With this, essentially you can just instant counter into anything. You don't have to go through a step process. It just kind of happens to you. But that's pretty cool. I like that. Oh, and looks like the one girl made herself giant. I gotta look up actually their names. Let me literally mid chapter because it'll help me remember. I know it's like Annie and Rose. I just don't know what exactly is which one. It's one of those things when it comes to characters, like unless something about them pops immediately, they just don't click in my head. And it's like the Signario sisters have just kind of been there and we've known them and they have a neat name, but nothing. Okay, this one is I think it's Roger. I think that's how it's pronounced. The other one's Annie. So Roger is the one that's actually in this chapter doing stuff, but she makes herself giant. I want to know like what she can do from there, because that's like again, it's the fact that they can just kind of alter the area and themselves to seemingly any degree. Obviously, there's going to be something that they can do against them, because it's not like they can do like anything, because it's more seemingly anything freeform. We just don't know the furthest extent to where this was. Also, this chapter was 100% just on this fight. And I'm not mad about it because I did like what I saw. I liked the way that the characters just did stuff in general in this fight, but I wanted to see a little bit in the Duke and Gray fight. But why was it Rogue? Why was it Sting and Rogue on the cover, but it was entirely Minerva, Jalal, and Urza? I just thought that was kind of funny. Is there anything in there that maybe hints? Let me go look at the covers, because I know sometimes they hint things in there. I don't see anything special, but maybe maybe it's hinting towards a Minerva moment. I'd be cool with that. I like Minerva, and Minerva had still got a little bit of character development in Alvarez, So she's consistently had more every arc, and in the spinoff. One second, my dog's getting upset. But yeah, he'll be okay. The thing though with the Signaria sisters too, I like Roger's ability, but I want to see her do something with effects. I want to see like, oh, this now, like this animal, if you hit it, it will deplete 2% of your energy or something, or it makes you sleepy. Something that it's like it trips them up. It makes them more dangerous than just like she's gonna swarm you and then maybe drop some different attacks. Obviously, they're just getting started, but those are the things I'm looking for, because those are the danger factors of her as a character. Because right now they seem strong, but they don't seem as dangerous as any of the other characters. Because really, when you think about right when we start a character, like right when we start battling another character, there's usually a little bit of hype. There's something about them that's like, oh shit, this guy is dangerous because, like Haku could turn people into plushies, and then later we also found he could like do personalities. But like that hack's ability to just like turn you into a toy and make it so you like, oh, you can use your abilities, but you have to be really careful because you could die easily. Somebody like Misaki, oh, she has like dimension powers, and it's, oh, every second you're in there, you then take the equivalent damage in the real world. We have somebody like Kiria. Kiria can use hypnosis, cut away aspects of your mind, and like you know what I mean. But it's just like there's always like something that makes them more dangerous. Like Duke can apparently turn things into people, so it's like, oh, that's pretty insane. We don't have much with Athena, but it's like she what alchemized. Oh my god, I'm trying to remember the word for it. Alchemized or whatever. I don't know. Alchemized. I'm gonna look up the word really quick because I'm gonna fuck this up, and I have to. It's gonna only bother me if I end it and never look back, never get it fixed. Let me see. One sec. Where's this person? Oh yeah, they just say transmute. I know there's a word for it with alchemy, but yeah, transmuted I guess makes more sense. Hope Gray gets bodied as usual. I think that Gray is definitely going to lose, but I think it's going to set Gray up for bigger and better things. Like my belief, and I think it'll be something like this: that Duke is gonna see something in Gray that he saw, that he is gonna like, oh, that you remind me of me when I was younger, and it's gonna be like, he's gonna say something that in defiance that Duke said to Eleftheria when he left. One of those things where he's like, I like you, I want to have you on my team, kind of thing. Because he, on top of that, after seeing his types of ice make, I think he would be like, you have the talent to be an alchemist, and ends up bodying Gray, but probably in a way that like Gray would I think Gray would have to get like mind messed with a little bit, and then he ends up becoming like on their side, but he's like a combination as well of magic and alchemy. I mean, he's got curse power too. Gray's just going to be a beast if this happens. I want this to happen so bad because he doesn't need spiritual arts. I hope we get somebody else with spiritual arts, because like it's weird how we have way more stuff on alchemy than spiritual arts already. But yeah, I do think that Gray is going to lose that battle. I think that he, out of all the fights, is in the worst spot. He's the guild master, and on top of that, he's the only one in a straight red zone. Natsu and Crow could easily escape if they want to, unless she has some like way to track them or like instantly follow them. I think that they could escape. Like, they have multiple exceeds with them; they'll be fine. And they have Celestial Spirit Wizards. They could literally go to the Celestial Spirit World. Obviously, that would be a really risky move, but still, I mean, they could put her in the Celestial Spirit World even for like, a minute, and they've got a good chunk of time of a minute in Celestial Spirit World, because that's 90 times, so that's like an hour and a half that they would have to kind of work on. So I think they'd be fine there. Whereas Jalal, Urza, and Minerva, I think they could escape. Because Minerva, I think if Minerva really needed to, if she just kind of really put in the effort, she just expands her territory further out from where the Signario sisters have affected, and just move them over there. Move Jalal, Urza, and Minerva, or herself rather, out of the area, and draw back, because they're right now. The Signario sisters haven't done anything that makes me say like, oh wow, they're like, they're obviously like really kind of crazy powerful. So it's going to be a rough one. It's like we knew with the Dark Dragon Slayer Knights their level because they were equal to Suzaku, and then we found out very early they had like abilities and aspects that were really dangerous. The Signario sisters, we've only seen Roger's ability from what we've seen. I think we saw Annie turn herself into like smoke, but other than that, I feel like that's something that they can both do, but it's not what Annie's type specializes in. Maybe it's like, oh, well, maybe combined we could do something where it's like, oh, well, Roger affects the environment, turns it into minions, and primarily does it in a direct combat. Maybe Annie's the one that does like the hacks or something. So, but it's like they always work together, so it's like they essentially have each other's abilities at all times. Something like that I could see happening. But I could easily see if need be, Minerva could get them out of there. I think that she could definitely move them out of there, because Minerva can keep up with them. It's clear that the Signar, like it's very clear that Roger is stronger so far. Like she got hit, and it looks like it did a tiny bit of damage. Like she felt the hit, but not really, because it looks like it just kind of the impact was there, but nothing after that. Like no real damage to probably like her bones or any of her organs. Minerva really needs to do something outside of just karate chop, and I know that she has some good physical stats, but she needs to start dropping some battle gods, and she's the one that can do it. She speaks the language. She's such a good she could present such a good opportunity for us to learn about the Yakuma people. I would love that so much. That's such a weird, way in the back burner thing with the series. Like that's such a far in the end zone, or I guess not in the end zone, more like deep ends of the bench for Fairy Tail. We just have not seen any of those guys for a long time, because we found out, okay, the Akuma back in the Grand Magic Games, we got the first one, and the Iagdo Rigora, and then we got Ikuza Tsunagi, 120 chapters or so later, and we still have not got another one. Out of the 18 battle gods, we have 2. We know nothing about the Yakuma people whatsoever, other than Minerva is seemingly a descendant, or just knows about their language and their culture. I like Annie and Roger so far. I think it's pretty funny that like Roger doesn't seem to take anything seriously. She turned herself into like a balloon and just kind of like leaves Minerva, and then Annie just turns herself into smoke. Where is Annie at the end of the chapter? I don't see her anywhere. I see Roger, but I don't see Annie. She like turns into smoke, and then she's nowhere at the end. I think Minerva will be fine, because this is literally just a stomp. Unless it's too fast for her to react, like this is just imagine this, it's like, oh well, also in size she's gained equivalent scaled up physical stats, so she's way more physically capable, but she can also move way faster, something like that. Or if it's like all of these extra like weird ones in the back, maybe they do an effect on her. I'm gonna try and look and see if there's any translations yet in a minute, or trying to do some of it myself, but I don't think that she's in a bad spot right now, outside of just clearly her opponent is a higher level than her. Minerva, though, hasn't gotten to a spot where I think she's in a danger point. Like with this, I think she can just swap places with something. I think she'll be fine. If she gets hit,
I think that'll be just more to say about how fast Roger was with that. But with Minerva, I mean, I could see her definitely being not fine, but I think it would pretty much put her mostly out of the fight or heavily damage her because it's just a stomp. And it's not, it's not from Selene stomping. It's not from a dragon. It's from, as far as we know, not a dragon. It's just pretty much a stomp. So I think that she should be fine. Should be fine or just, injured. Other than that, I don't really see anything much for Minerva to be in a risky spot. I like that Minerva got some spotlight though this chapter. I thought that was actually really good. That was probably one of my favorite things that I didn't really talk about because Urza got little to nothing this chapter. Like it starts out, Minerva does a couple moves. Urza switches into her Flame Empress armor. Jalal's using Meteor, smashing up some guys. But after that point, Minerva is the one that she's the one that's still active. She teleports, or I guess not teleports, switches her and Annie, and then after that point is still in the fight, hit by Roger. And that's the chapter. So it's like it's a very fast-paced chapter, but I thought it was solid on how it was presented because I did really like that Minerva was the one that had more going on. I'm going to probably not count this as the I won't count this as the first steps of the podcast. I'll do that one. I might do it either tonight or tomorrow morning, and then I'll post it because I want it to be like a solid hour plus. But this chapter was just a good chapter, but there's not a lot of like stuff in depth to talk about. It's probably just going to be maybe certain things mentioned once we get translations. But yeah, this will probably just going to otherwise be a short stream. Like I said, planning some stuff in the next day or so. Expect the first episode of the podcast potentially to be either tonight or tomorrow. I'll post it because, like I said, I got today off. I have little to no plans. I really just want to do pretty much nothing all day. So, talk to you guys later. The first episode, I want it to be at least like an hour and 15 minutes. A good 75 minutes is probably what I'm shooting for at the bare minimum. So expect that. I'll time it. I'll be able to see, and we're gonna talk about. I want to think of what's a solid first topic because I think I mentioned it before, but I want to move it to something else. I guess maybe we can just kind of talk about expectations for the arc. Well, I want to see a little bit more before that. I think maybe that could be before the next chapter, which I could probably do that maybe at like that second or third episode because I could easily get like. Because the thing I like about the idea of a podcast is I could easily get one out every like 2 to 3 days, no problem. I just have to get the ball rolling on it, and then I'm good. And that's the thing I really like about it because I wanted to do editing, and I think I'm gonna do some stuff on the back burner and just do small projects. I just won't mention it because one thing I've noticed that really messes with me is like if I mention a time frame and I don't meet it, it really demotivates me to keep going because I feel like I'm just not gonna make it, and then people are gonna forget, and then I'm gonna forget, and that does happen. So we'll talk more about that on a different point. We'll probably go I think into maybe early fairy tale. I think what I'll do too, I'll do this today. I'll read the first. I think I'll read everything through. Maybe Phantom Lord. Maybe like actually I might just do through Galuna Island actually. I'm trying to think because I don't want to do. I want to have just a comfortable conversation. Actually, I'll do it through Eisenwald, and then after that, for like the second time we'll do Galuna Island because I want to do it in like segments where it's not one thing. What I'll probably do is after this, I'll write down just like, oh yeah, these are like 3 set pieces we're gonna talk about, from the series, and because I like the idea of one at least always being like, oh yeah, we talked about rereading this part of the series and then going forward from there. So I'll probably do that. I'll read through Eisenwald and then I'll make that one of the topics. We'll talk about the new chapter as one. Maybe we'll talk about generally some hopes for like I said where I'm hoping Gray's gonna go. I'm expecting. I got my fingers crossed. There's no way that Mishima could like set up him with Duke and then have like no further plans. It's like, yeah, Duke's gonna actually be like, "You are a perfect apprentice, Rogue." That's like the foreshadowing of the Rogue bit in the back with Sting kind of gesturing at him. I'd just be like, why? Why are we doing this now? What's happening? Why is